Hey everyone, I just wanted to talk a little bit about prepping and bartering and what I personally think are the top 5 best types of gold and silver to stack for prepping and bartering. So there's different types of prepping, even in stacking. So prepping can be preparing for retirement. When I buy 10-ounce Johnson Matthey bars, I'm prepping for retirement. That's a big reason for why I buy that type of silver. Plus, I just like them, and they're not that expensive. If you can find them for a good deal. But in this video, I'm specifically talking about preparing for not only the U.S. dollar collapse, even though it really already has collapsed, considering it's already depreciated 97% since the founding of the Federal Reserve. But I'm talking about preparing for the global monetary collapse and reset. So I believe all fiat currencies are going to fail. And I also believe that it is very possible that this will happen in our lifetime. Now, many people would label me as a doomsdayer or a conspiracy theorist. According to this one guy who commented on one of my videos, I am a kook conspiracy theorist that needs to read a history book. So, in my opinion, I am not a doomsdayer or a conspiracy theorist. I think people who stack for preparatory reasons are optimists. We're just optimistic that liberty and sound money will prevail. And I think we're also in touch with reality. Fiat currencies were not some kind of new groundbreaking technology when the U.S. went off the gold standard completely in 1971. There has never been one fiat currency in the history of the world that has stood the test of time. Not one. Even in America, over the history of America, we've already gone from fiat currency back to sound money several times over again. It happened in the colonial times. There have been several panics throughout American history where they've had to suspend redemption in specie. So the government basically just told the banks, you don't have to pay back your depositors. You can just pay them back with fiat dollars. So we have suspended the gold standard several times throughout this history. That is the same thing as a fiat currency. When you say that banks do not have to pay back their depositors in gold, but they can pay them back in pieces of paper, IOUs, that is a fiat currency. And after the War of 1812, we went to a straight fiat currency for about 2.5 years, and our economy was in shambles, so we went back to sound money during the Jacksonian movement in 1830. And we also went to the greenback for a few years during the Civil War. And it was a few years after the Civil War ended, our economy once again was in shambles, so we decided to go back to sound money. So this has happened over and over again, and it's nothing new. So all I know is that gold is money. It's not money currently at this very present moment, but I believe that it can go back to being money quicker than we think. And the main reason why this current US dollar fiat system has been able to last so long is because the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world. It has the most demand behind it. But if you realize, you don't really hear people talking in the mainstream media about the real important stuff, about the stuff that really matters, like how there's a global movement with various countries that are looking to ditch the dollar. They're getting tired of the sanctions. They're getting tired of being pushed around and told what to do. So there's countries like China, Russia, Iran, Turkey that are looking to get out of the US dollar. And as many of us know, China has been stacking gold. Russia's been stacking gold and silver. So the US dollar, in my opinion, is dying. The petrodollar is dying, and it's on its last leg. I don't know how many years it's going to take for the world to adopt whatever system it chooses to adopt next. But I do know that it's going to happen. At least I highly believe that it is. I'd be very surprised if it doesn't. So when all these countries ditch the dollar, when the world ditches the dollar, I think that is going to be the catalyst that really triggers the full collapse in the US dollar. So since I believe this is going to happen in our lifetimes, I try to cater my stack in a way to where it would also be very good in a US dollar collapse or a world monetary reset. I'm not saying that we're going to be bartering with gold and silver. It might be a more probable scenario. Instead of bartering with gold and silver in this case, we would be finding a way to sell it off so we can get the fiat currency that we're still using during that collapse and instantly spend it on stuff. So I've tried doing research of how people are handling this situation in Venezuela. And to all of the people that are constantly talking about $600 an ounce silver, $1,000 an ounce silver, in my opinion, very possible. The only thing is, if we have $1,000 an ounce silver, a cheeseburger will cost $300 probably, or who knows. But if we look at Venezuela, their inflation rate as of July 2018 is around 1 million percent. And as of July 2018, gold was up 3.6 million percent, 3 point something million percent. So the value of gold increased compared to the value of all of the other overall goods. So yes, I believe that the value of gold and silver will go up, but not so high to where you wouldn't be able to buy a loaf of bread with some silver, or your groceries with some silver. I think that yes, the value will go up, but it won't go up by like 1,000 times. The value may go up by 300% like it did in Venezuela because the price increased 3 times more than overall inflation. So that means that the value of gold went up 3 times more than the value of the other goods that basically maintained with inflation. If that made sense. Sorry, I feel like that was complicated. But anyway, top 5 best types of gold and silver to stack for prepping and bartering. Number 5, gold and silver stored in a foreign vault outside of your own country. I think that this is a good idea. I wouldn't have a large portion of my stack stored in a foreign vault. I do believe that the old saying, if you don't hold it, you don't own it, is very true to a large extent. But I think just as a prep, it may be a wise idea to store just a little bit of gold outside of the country, because you never know. That may decrease the risk of something happening to that gold in an economic collapse. I personally don't have any gold stored in a foreign vault yet, but as the years go by, I will definitely consider at least storing a small portion of my stack in a foreign vault just in case. And it's very important that it's stored outside of the banking system. So you can buy precious metals through companies that store the precious metals for you in foreign vaults out of the banking system through companies like Brinks, etc. And there's also companies that you can purchase gold from that will even store it at the Perth Mint. So you can buy gold and have it stored at the Perth Mint if you like. So for whatever reason, if you trust the Australian government more than the US government, you might feel like that's a good idea. All right, number 4, fractional silver bullion. I've heard a lot of people talk smack on fractional silver bullion, saying there's absolutely no reason to buy it and the premiums are way too high, which is true. The premiums are very high, but you have to understand this is strictly a prep. I have about 230 ounces of silver, and only 2.5 ounces out of my stack is fractional silver bullion. So it's not like I'm stacking this stuff to the sky. Only a tiny, tiny percentage of my stack consists of fractional silver bullion. And my reasoning behind it is, if we're ever bartering with silver, people may feel more comfortable dealing with pure silver instead of 90%. I don't think so. I mean, I think that it would be likely that constitutional will be just fine, but you never know. And this is very simple. It has the weight stamped right on the back and the purity. Who knows, if you have to go and buy groceries, the merchant that you're buying the products from may feel more comfortable with pure bullion. Like I said, I doubt it. I think constitutional will be just fine. But just in case, I choose to hold a tiny bit of fractional silver bullion. Number 3, the constitutional silver of your country. Now, my reasoning for including constitutional silver and fractional silver bullion in this list is because I think it's good to have fractional silver. In an economic collapse, in a dollar collapse, I believe that silver will increase in value. But like I said earlier in the video, I don't think it will increase so much in value that it's going to be too valuable to be able to spend on a small amount of goods. But just in case, I think it's wise to have some small denomination silver. And constitutional silver is a lot lower premium than fractional silver bullion. So I would concentrate, when it comes to your fractional stack, on the constitutional silver of your country, just because it's lower premium and it's highly recognizable. Now, my reasoning for choosing Winged Liberty dimes or Mercury dimes over other forms of constitutional silver is because they did not make Winged Liberty dimes in clad. So the only Winged Liberty dimes that exist, as long as they're not fake, are 90% silver, which makes it less confusing. In a barter situation, people may get confused with Roosevelt dimes or Kennedy halves or Washington quarters because not all of them are silver. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I don't think it's going to take them long to figure out. You just got to look at the edge and look at the date. But just in case, I think Winged Liberty dimes and Ben Franklin halves and Standing Liberty quarters, stuff like that, stuff that was never minted in clad, is the best option, in my opinion, because it decreases confusion. And it's important to buy constitutional silver without a lot of wear. When it has a lot of wear, they're called slicks. So when I bought this roll, I was kind of new to stacking, and I didn't really pay good enough attention to make sure that some of these aren't slick. But let me try to find a slick one. So like this. You do not want constitutional silver like that because it has a lot of wear, and you're paying more for them than they're worth because you're paying full price for the on paper amount of silver that's in them. But in reality, there's not as much silver in them because it has worn off. So you don't want slicks. You want as close to BU condition as possible. So number 3, I think constitutional silver is a great buy for prepping. It's good to have small denomination silver in case you have to barter and you want small purchases. So that is why that is number 3. Number 2, the standard government-backed low premium silver bullion of your country. For me, it is American Silver Eagles since I'm in America. Or if you live in the UK, it could be Britannia's. If you live in Canada, it could be Maple Leaves. But if you live in Mexico, it could be Libertads, etc. But I think that this is the best choice for prepping and barter when it comes to silver in a dollar collapse, fiat currency collapse, economic collapse, whatever you want to call it. These are the most liquid, most recognizable, most trusted. If they're the most liquid right now, then I think that they would also be the most liquid in an economic collapse. So this is why this is number 2 on my list. Highly liquid, highly recognizable, low premium. Yeah, you're paying a little bit of a premium on them, $3-4 premium, but it's worth it, in my opinion, for the liquidity and the trust. And number 1, the mother of all stacking preps, and the mother of bartering with precious metals in a dollar collapse, the fractional gold bullion of your country. For me, it is American Gold Eagles. For a Canadian, it is Gold Maple Leaves. For an Austrian, it's Philharmonics. But I think that fractional gold is the best choice for bartering or for wealth preservation in an economic collapse or a fiat dollar collapse. Now, I love silver, but the entire world as a whole, in my opinion, desires gold more. Even in America, I believe that gold is slightly more desired. I don't think you can go wrong with fractional gold for any reason, even if it's just slowly building wealth and buying what you can afford. I think that the slightly higher premiums on fractional gold are worth it, in my opinion. Now you can go with the 1/10 ounce size, the 1/4 ounce size, or the 1/2 ounce size. Even if you're stacking 1 ounces, that is still a great choice, in my opinion, for prepping. Even in this current economic state, I think gold is more liquid than silver. So naturally, I assume that it's going to be more liquid than it in an economic collapse as well. But I may be wrong. This is just what I believe. When it comes to bartering in an economic collapse, we have not experienced this yet, at least in America and in most countries. So a lot of what I believe is theoretical. But I think gold would be your best bet. And since the value will increase in an economic collapse, I think that fractional gold bullion is the mother of all stacking preps. It is the most liquid precious metal in the world. You can take these coins to mostly any country, and there will be liquidity for them. So that is why I choose fractional gold bullion of your country as the number 1 best type of precious metal to buy and stack for an economic collapse and or barter. So hopefully some of you got something out of this video. I appreciate all my subscribers. I'm almost at 300. I'm almost there. Pretty soon I'll be at 500, and the message of sound money and liberty will keep getting spread. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll talk to you later.